It was Mahatma Gandhi who said strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from an indomitable will. Another reminder of our character and who we are as a people. Over the past week, news of the island going through a drought may have put some people on edge, but be not dismayed. Instead, let's dig deep inside for that determination to overcome. And before you know it, we will be seeing brighter days and possibly some wet ones. Hello there, welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. We have a wonderful show packaged just for you. So don't go anywhere.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Want to know what's being done to help build resilience within the country's logistic hub? Or how about the strategies to transform Jamaica into a global trade center? Ms. Kelly Dawn Hamilton is here to break down the facts. Let's listen in.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm Theodore Henry. For the next few minutes, we will engage in a vibrant discussion on Jamaica's Resilient Logistics Hub Initiative and Special Economic Zones investments. Here with us to share the important details is Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. Welcome to the program, Mrs. Hamilton.
Thank you very much, Theodore.
Let's jump right into getting some facts. We called a name right there in the intro, Resilient Logistics Hub Initiative. What is that?
What is that indeed? Yeah. So the Logistics Hub Initiative is really capitalizing on Jamaica's geographic location. We are right at the center of the world. Oh. Right? And you know, if you know anything about us being little and taller, we punch above our weight in so many different areas.
Like our unofficial motto.
Exactly. And so what we want to do is to capitalize on that. We know from history that in terms of shipping routes, Jamaica is a very important, is well located in order to serve the world. Right. Coming out of COVID recently, we recognize the importance of nearshore logistics, right? Coming out of some of the new technologies or the new practices that have been implemented have seen us doing things like friend-shoring or co-peating, because we recognize as countries, particularly in CARICOM, that we can't go it alone. Right. We have to work together to leverage our competitive advantages. The fact of the matter is we have a population of 3 million people on average, and so we have to maximize our advantages in order to reach the world. So when people usually ask, where is the logistics hub? And we like to say, Jamaica is the hub. Mm-hmm. All of Jamaica is the hub. What the hub is intended to do is really to create a catalyst for economic activities. So in order to be a logistics hub, we will have to take into consideration how goods and services move. How do we pay for goods and services? Right. What infrastructure is in place to facilitate trade? And when we talk infrastructure, we're talking about airports, seaports, road networks. We're talking about e-commerce, digital infrastructure, access to internet. We're talking about payment, the ability to facilitate payments online or e-commerce, ease of doing business. Yeah. When we talk about being a logistics hub, we're talking about not just the activities that usually drive a logistics hub, such as trade, but the supporting activities that have to be in place in order to allow that to happen. Mm. So we're talking about the man on the street who could benefit from this increased economic activity. We're talking about suppliers who can now supply to businesses that didn't exist before.
Right.
So the logistics hub is Jamaica. And a part of building out the hub includes, as I mentioned earlier, the infrastructure, but also the people.
Right.
We have to have the people on the ground who are going to take advantage of the jobs that will come into play. So when we're talking about building out a hub, it's not something that the government alone can do.
Right.
When you think about the projects that we would have seen come out of this logistics hub initiative, we're talking about German ship repair recently opened.
Yes.
We're talking about the upgrade works that would have been done at Kingston Container Terminal. We're talking about the activities that Kingston Wharves would have done as well. JP would have developed their cold storage and warehouse facility.
Broad spate of roads.
We are talking about the fact that Caribbean Maritime Institute was transitioned to a university and a world-class facility at that. We're talking about the road networks and the infrastructure that has been developed to ensure that there's connectivity.
Things can move, business can be done, and Jamaica is the center of the world.
Exactly.
We should have had you here long before this because that was an extremely clear definition of what the logistics hub is.
Yes.
But you mentioned projects, and some of these you have mentioned already that have happened. But what's in the pipeline?
So in the pipeline now, and you would probably have heard a lot of talk about the Cayman Special Economic Zone.
Yes.
And that is intended to be a 650-acre facility, and this is being led by the Port Authority of Jamaica. And that facility will house industrial, manufacturing, warehousing, cold storage. We intend to really create a mini municipality that is focused on helping to drive productive activity in the country. What does all of that mean? We're intending to create a space where businesses can operate.
Right.
But you know, Theodore, we don't want to create a space where it's lively in the day and dead in the night. So we want to ensure that there are residential spaces also. We want to know that there is activity happening right throughout the day and night to support that whole ecosystem and really to maximize this 650 acres where we intend to really drive transformation in Jamaica. One of the opportunities that we see now is in the area of warehousing. So there are a lot of companies that are looking to do warehousing in Jamaica. And we're talking both local and overseas companies that want to take advantage of the opportunity for nearshoring in Jamaica. And so there is a lot of demand for warehouse space. So that is a big opportunity as well, the building out of that.
Okay. Now, one thing that has been coming out very clearly in your answers is not just setting up the things themselves, but they have to be attractive. And that came out in the residential bit. So what other efforts? Let's talk environment.
Yes.
Let's talk the sustainability. What other efforts is GCA's headlining for the attraction of these things? Yes.
So let's step back a little bit and give a little bit of context for what the Special Economic Zone Authority does. We are ultimately regulators, but we like to say that we regulate by facilitating our investors. So it is a more partnership kind of approach that we take with our clients to understand what it is that they intend to come to market with and how that fits within the context of the Special Economic Zone Act. We have a piece of legislation that guides how we do what we do. So as the regulator, we oversee the provision of incentives to businesses that establish in Jamaica. So that is our real function and role. We also have responsibility for the Logistics Hub initiative, but of course, that initiative has to be driven by both private and public sector.
That partnership you
mentioned.
Right. And those incentives are part, for example, like an environmentally conscious business would get.
Well, let me answer the question that you asked, right? So you asked about what we're doing in terms of sustainability and protection of the environment. So we provide incentives. In order to give up government incentives, obviously people have to go through an application process. We have to understand what they intend to do with the resources that we have, or people or natural resources, the impact on the environment, the impact on the economy. So we assess that every applicant for SEZ goes through the process of due diligence, of us understanding what exactly you're attempting to do and whether or not it fits within the confines of our legislation. Fortunately for us in Jamaica, we have what is called a negative list. So outside of the list of activities that you cannot do in the SEZ, so that's a finite list, everything else is on the table.
Okay.
So companies that can't benefit from SEZ are those that are already regulated. So for example, the banking industry,
Right.
mining can't benefit, tourism can't benefit, retail activities will not benefit from SEZ. They can, however, be located in a special economic zone. Right.
Okay.
So the benefit of SEZ is really about making it more cost effective for businesses to operate.
Got you.
So
I'm going to have to pause you right there. We're going to take this up. The conversation is not done. When we come back, Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton will tell us more about Jamaica's resilient logistics hub and special economic zone developments and the enabling factors Jamaica creates to attract increased investment, aligned, of course, with job creation targets. We'll be right back.
The Joint Select Committee of Parliament reviewing the Domestic Violence Act wants to hear from you. Review the Act and share your opinions with the committee. You can find a copy of the Act on the Parliament's website at www.japarliament.gov.jm under the heading Publications. Once you have reviewed the Act, submit your written opinions by Tuesday, April 30, 2024 to Clerk to the Houses, Gordon House, 81 Duke Street, Kingston, or clerk@japarliament.gov.jm. Let your voice be heard.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We are continuing our conversation with Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hamilton, the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority. And we're discussing Jamaica's Resilient Logistics Hub Initiative and Special Economic Zone investments. So, Mrs. Hamilton, investment interest in Jamaica, we've heard it said, and we've seen it, is growing.
yes.
And, as that climate continues to improve, we've spoken a lot about, you spoke about warehousing, you spoke about ports. And this, of course, sends up the antennas of the environmentally friendly, which we all should be. And I'd like you to treat that a little bit.
In terms of sustainability, that is part and parcel of our assessment. It is embedded in our process to look at what impact, if any, this will have on our environment, these projects will have on our environment. So for us, first things first, we have to have our National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, approvals.
Right.
The clients that are coming to us have to have the relevant approvals from the relevant authorities across government, and we will help persons to get their approvals as well. And that is also a function that JAMPRO undertakes too, and we work very closely with JAMPRO and all our other agencies across the government that facilitate investment and play a role in providing these permits that businesses will need in order to operate.
So it's not an afterthought.
It's not an afterthought. It's a part and parcel of what we do and how we do. We would have earlier this year participated in a tree planting initiative, or was that last year? We would have participated in a tree planting initiative across our special economic zones.
Right.
And so, what is exciting for us is that we have 145 companies operating within the SEZ space in 195 locations across the island. And they are all very, very keen on ensuring that the environment is protected, because our businesses understand that the benefit is for all. Right? And it's not taking away from the business, but enhancing it. Ensuring that we protect the environment within which we operate is key. We can't not do it. We can't not take care of the people.
Where we live.
It's where we live.
It's where we live.
It's where we live.
Now, in addition to sustainability, you touched on job creation a little bit, but I want us to dive a bit more into that. How high up the totem pole is that in the general plan?
So it is key for us. Right now, Jamaica is enjoying the lowest unemployment rate that it has ever had since we have started measuring it. And the objective for us is really to work with the different entities of government and our private sector to ensure that as we get into these new areas of business, as we identify more innovation and use technology in how we grow our businesses, that we're also creating a space for Jamaican employees, for the Jamaican workforce. So we do work with entities such as the Caribbean Maritime University, such as HART, in order to help us to future plan for industries that we want to see grow in the special economic zone.
And I'd like to mention something here. Now, through the European Union, as well as the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, I hope I got that right, DFC, they've expressed interest in various projects locally, like energy, ICT, and that, would I be correct in saying that in tandem with our goal of pushing forward Jamaicans, there's also skills transfer happening as well as people working in those jobs? So it's significant, yeah?
It is significant. And one of the key things for SEZs too is that they're heavily engaged in knowledge transfer and training up their persons. You know, one of the things while we're talking about logistics, and people may not think about the global digital services sector within the context of logistics, but it absolutely is a part of that. Some people may know GDSS as business process outsourcing, BPO, but Jamaica has moved beyond Jamaica has moved to more higher skilled operations within that space. And so now it is really the global digital services sector. And, you know, we play a very strong role, and this is Jamaica, in the global landscape in this sector. We are able to leverage our people. We are able to leverage our location. We are able to leverage the facilitation for businesses provided by government entities, and we have private individuals that do participate in the facilitation activities as well. But the point at this juncture, Theodore, is that Jamaica is open for business, and we are ready to facilitate entities or companies that wish to explore special economic zone designation, or maybe a company would like to be located in a zone. And the benefit of being located in a zone is that you have access to companies that are SEZ designated, who get 0% GCT rate, who do not pay duty on items that they import. So if you are providing services to an SEZ, they get 0% GCT. So I would want to sell to them.
Right, it makes sense to work together.
It makes sense to work together.
We're in the tail end of the interview, but I want to ask this big picture question. All that we've spoken about, what's the ultimate goal here?
The ultimate goal here is really to grow the economy of Jamaica. It's really to balance our exports and against our imports. Right now, you know, we have a large gap between the two. We would have seen a significant improvement in the performance of our exports. And what the Jamaica Special Economic Zone provides is a way in which companies can seek to export more cost effectively. So you get the incentives, the opportunities exist for infrastructure development. We are here to facilitate businesses. And when we talk about facilitating businesses, we're talking about a range of sectors that can benefit from SEZ designation. The opportunity is now, Theodore. I mean, there are opportunities, as I mentioned, for warehousing, cold storage.
Yes.
As well as, Theodore, Jamaica is known for sport. We have we're riding high on this Bob Marley movie. World premiere happening here. People from all over the world came. We want to do a creative industries special economic zone where companies can come and film and have their film production from start to finish done right here in Jamaica. We want to build a sports special economic zone alongside our Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, where you have teams that have to train in cold climates they should come to Jamaica and train. They should be able to take advantage even more of our coaches, of our facilities, of our expertise in this area.
Yeah.
So we really want to capitalize on, we want to create business opportunities out of things that Jamaica is already known for and doing very well. So that is what the Special Economic Zone regime provides for.
I see. Just to underline something you said, the logistics hub is Jamaica.
It is.
We're in the last 3 seconds. Our viewers are watching. They're excited. Give us your final word.
Jamaica is open for business, Theodore.
Open for business.
Open for business, ready to facilitate through our Ministry of Business, the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. We are being led towards just facilitation and really thinking about facilitation in a different way.
Okay.
We have to partner with our private sector players.
Yes.
No question is out of bounds. Please come to us with your opportunities, come to us with your ideas. You can visit our website to get more insight into what is out there, what exists. We have had very strong interest from our diaspora as well, and so we're actively engaging them, our local investment community and overseas investors. So it is about continuing a conversation to really help us to achieve the vision that we have of making Jamaica the logistics hub rivaling global ports across the world.
Jamaica is open for business, has been open for business, continues to be open for business as the Logistics Hub Initiative, the Special Economic Zones rides on the whole idea of job creation, upskilling, sustainability, and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, and do all the other things.
Yes.
Do all the other things. In business. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest has been the Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, Mrs. Kelly Dawn Hallerton. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Theodore Henry. Take good care.
With the country presently facing a drought, it is important to know and understand the importance of protecting our water resources. Watch now to understand why this matters for our watersheds.
An area of land that allows for the drainage of rainwater into a common place like a pond or river is known as a watershed. Now, you may live near a river or drink the water from a bottle, but how much do you know about watersheds and their life-giving role? There are over 100 rivers making up Jamaica's watersheds. These rivers are critical resources to the ecosystem of the land while empowering our economy. The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA manages Jamaica's 26 watershed management units WMUs in partnership with key governmental agencies such as the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA, the Forestry Department, the Water Resources Authority and other partners. There is one major factor to note in the protection of watersheds, and it's the delicate balance of the communities who earn a living from these areas through agriculture.
So we try to take a bottom-up approach to watershed management. Now that will involve liaising with the communities, getting their inputs prior to going into any given watershed with any intervention. You have to do what we consider to be an assessment of the needs of the community, separate and apart from an assessment of the needs of the watershed prior to going in and doing our interventions.
This approach forms part of the integrated watershed and coastal area management model, which takes into consideration the community's views. Under the Watersheds Protection Act of 1963, watershed areas are declared and regulated to conserve the water resources, while allowing residents to gain from popular land economic activities such as farming.
You do have complementary acts that would speak to watershed management. So you have, for example, the RADA Act of 1990 that will allow for the use of extension services, which translate into watershed management as the use of sustainable land management practices with the farmers.
There are 7 other pieces of legislation that support the Major Watersheds Protection Act. Finding the balance between benefiting from the resources in watersheds and preventing its degradation is continuous work by the environmental authorities. In 2015, a $3.9 million Yallah's Hope watershed restoration project was launched as a joint initiative between the government and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB). The Yallahs and Hope River watershed supply 40% of the drinking water in the densely populated urban parishes of Kingston and St. Andrew.
We would have trained under that project over 5,000 farmers in sustainable land management, and then we would have also did quite a number of studies. We'd have done some replanting in the area. We'd have replanted over 500 hectares.
A major initiative from the Yallah's Hope River Restoration Project was the use of a Payment for Ecosystem Services scheme, designed to give an incentive to farmers who rely less on the watersheds.
At the end of that project, we would have, through modeling, showed that we have seen a reduction in about 8% of sediments coming down out of that watershed, and that's a conservative estimate. It goes up to 17% when you factor in the interventions that were done by our partners in these watersheds.
NEPA also established a Yallahs and Hope River Watershed Management Committee to ensure that these results continue. Jamaica's international ranking as a strong and actions-based drive of environmental protection is steadily growing. A Jamaican Path from Hills to Ocean project is the latest initiative to restore 3 major watersheds across the island in the next 5 years. The $1.05 billion Jamaican dollar project is a joint partnership between the government and the European Union, executed by the Planning Institute of Jamaica in support of NEPA and RADA.
So the rapid ecological assessment is expected to inform some of the project activities that will help with the RADA-led components in identifying some areas that will be prioritized for intervention, and those priority will be for trainings for farmers and other techniques that would help with the overall watershed management. The Castleton Botanical Garden is one particular location within one of the watershed management units that would benefit mostly from some of these activities.
Work will also be done on 2 wetland ecosystems, Winds Morass in Trelawney and the Mason River Protected Area on the border of St. Ann and Clarendon.
And those activities would help with the overall preservation and conservation of those 2 wetland areas to stem or address some of the challenges we are currently facing with issues of encroachment or solid waste deposits, and also the general sensitization through the use of signage and public education.
The project will also flow into the protection of Jamaica's marine life.
So the assessment of seagrass, the health and distribution of seagrass beds within the Ocherius Marine Park and the health of Half Moon Bay area will also be assessed, so we can see if the activities implemented over the 5-year period would have helped with the health or the general health of the marine environment in these areas.
Don't waste water. Turn on your tap at half blast. Plant a tree. The more, the better. Do not litter. Proper waste disposal prevents your garbage from getting into our rivers and streams. Be environmentally friendly. Get involved and help protect the earth. The work to protect our watersheds aligns with Jamaica's signatory to the Paris Agreement on Climate Change to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Equivalently, our Vision 2030 National Plan also prioritizes balancing sustainable use of the environment and reducing poverty. Through climate-smart steps to better use the lands and the hills of our watersheds and reduce the degradation of our coastlines, the value of protecting Jamaica's watersheds today will pay the price for securing the future of the island.
We've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.